The United Kingdom has announced plans to ban the use of the Chinese-owned video app TikTok on government corporate devices. New Zealand's parliament will also ban TikTok from all parliamentary devices amid mounting international security concerns surrounding the app. The US government says TikTok should be sold or else face a possible ban in the country. The video sharing app, owned by Chinese company ByteDance, is accused of posing a national security risk through data gathered from millions of users. Let's talk about this developing story. Mike Buckley is a senior journalist and political commentator. He's also the director at UK EU Commission. Mike, welcome to WION World is One.
Thank you.
Mike, why are countries like the United States and the United Kingdom and now New Zealand banning or even penalizing TikTok, and why now?
Well, they don't trust TikTok and ByteDance, the company that owns it. And also there is a law in China which requires any company, including technology companies like ByteDance, to share information with the Chinese government if they are asked. So if the government asks ByteDance to share information on any users in the US or the UK or New Zealand or anywhere else, then ByteDance is obligated under Chinese law to do that. So you can understand that governments in the Western world don't trust ByteDance, don't trust TikTok, and don't trust the Chinese government.
So how serious is the threat, if any, and should TikTok users who don't work for the government be worried about the app?
It depends how worried they are about their personal security. If they're happy with their personal information being potentially shared with the Chinese government, then maybe they should remove the app from their phones. But this could go further. The American government is considering banning TikTok and all ByteDance products from the United States in total, so nobody would be able to use it anymore. So it may be that ByteDance needs to sell TikTok to an American company.
Mike, in real sense, how risky is TikTok?
Probably not very risky to the average user, but that's my opinion. And you would need to talk to somebody who was a security expert to get a stronger opinion. I personally don't have TikTok, and I wouldn't want to have it because there is information that I consider sensitive because of my work on my phone, but others may want to make different choices.
For the benefit of our viewers, Mike, what are the concerns being raised by the United States and also United Kingdom, now New Zealand and other governments in the world, and who is pushing for these restrictions?
Well, clearly there are security concerns about China, partly because of its own behavior, for example, the threats that it issues towards Taiwan, but also because of its closeness to Russia, obviously in the context of the Russia-Ukraine war. So it's understandable that Western governments have concerns about the actions and the motivations of the Chinese government. And it's not beyond the realms of reason that the Chinese government would look for any means possible to get private information, sensitive information, government information from Western nations like the US, the UK, New Zealand, and indeed nations in Western Europe as well. So it's not beyond the realms of reason, and it's not hype or speculation really to think that the Chinese government will use the resources at its disposal. So it's a proportionate response of governments to remove TikTok from government devices.
Mike, in real sense, nowadays, whatever is put on TikTok is also put on apps like Instagram and Facebook. Should Meta be on alert as well?
Yes, it should, but Meta, of course, is an American company. I've got no idea what the security situation of Meta is. One would presume, because it's an American company, that its security will be fairly robust, but I don't know the answer to that. And that's a question really for the American government to look into.
But if we are seeing threats posed by TikTok, and now we have Instagram through stories or Facebook through stories, sharing stories from TikTok, will that not have, or create a dilemma going forward?
I don't think it's so much about the information that is on, say, TikTok or Instagram or Facebook. I think it's more about the fact that the TikTok app on somebody's phone could have code within it, a program within it, that could get other information from people's devices. So say contact details or access to emails or access to files, sensitive government information, for example, if it's a government phone. So on TikTok, people, of course, mostly share music videos and short stories and things that they're doing in their day and things like that. It's not really an app that is used for sensitive private conversation or discussion. But the app itself, we know that once an app is on a computer, if it's written in a particular way, it can get information from other apps. And so that, I think, is what the governments are concerned about, not so much what is posted on Instagram or Facebook.
Mike, it's unclear how much the government-wide TikTok ban might impact the company. The TikTok spokesperson said it has no way of knowing whether its users are government employees. The company, though, has questioned the bans, saying it has not been given an opportunity to answer questions and that governments were cutting themselves off from a platform beloved by millions. What do you make of TikTok's reactions to the ban?
It is a platform beloved by millions. There's no question of that. It's incredibly popular. It is incredibly popular because it's clearly a very well put together app that has managed to appeal to genuinely millions of people and bring lots of joy and happiness into people's lives. So if it does have to go, then in some ways that's a sad thing. But the main point, I think, is that the Western governments, America, US, UK, their argument is not so much with ByteDance, the company that runs TikTok, or TikTok itself. Their argument is with the Chinese government. And the fact that this law exists, which allows the Chinese government to demand data, any data, from any company that is headquartered in China. So whatever ByteDance says, it is still a Chinese company. And if the Chinese government comes and knocks on its door and says, give us your data, they have to comply. So there's nothing that ByteDance can say to these governments that will satisfy the suspicions of the governments, because they're not so much suspicious of ByteDance, they're suspicious of the Chinese government.
We've mentioned Chinese more times in this conversation. Why is there such a backlash against China by the West, you think?
There's been growing tension for a number of years and for a number of reasons. I mean, it's secrecy, for one thing, obviously the actions in Xinjiang, for another, which, horrify people, in the Western world. Its continual threats towards Taiwan and suggestion that it will forcibly, take control of Taiwan, which the rest of the world regards as, as an independent sovereign nation. And it's the fact that it hasn't come out against Russia's aggression in Ukraine, and indeed is apparently considering supplying arms to Russia to aid its war in Ukraine. I don't think there's any evidence yet that that's happening, but there's certainly a suspicion, A, that it might be now, or that if not now, that it would in the future. So there is, in that sense, to use grandiose terms, a threat of a new Cold War between the West and China, which I think everybody would like to avoid, but it's difficult to avoid because of the way that China is behaving.
All right. Finally, Mike, India took the decision to ban TikTok some time ago. What are the ramifications when a country bans the use of social media, not limited to TikTok, to its citizens?
I think if a country like India or any other bans social media across the board, that's a very different kind of choice, and that is a choice made by that government, not really for security reasons, but in terms, that's really a choice made to try and control its own population and to control its own citizens and their use of communication. And it's maybe a fear-based decision because that government is feeling insecure about its own position or doesn't want its own actions discussed. So I don't know the reasons why India has done what it's done, but that would, to me, raise questions about the actions of that government and the commitment to democracy of that government as well.
All right. Mike Buckley is a senior journalist and political commentator. He's also the director at UK EU Commission. Mike, thank you for talking to WION World is One today.
Thank you.